Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Morrow Teaches Online. Today I'm going to teach you how to do variables on both sides of the equation. So here we go. Also, remember, you can pause the video anytime you want. So if you want to look at the homework answers, just pause the video and check your answers that way. But really quick. Also, mind my handwriting. It's not always the best when I write on my laptop. Again, all we're doing is distributing, and then don't combine those since they are not like terms. So again, distributing, I'm not going to do it for all of them. So again, if you want to, pause the video so you can check the answers a little bit better. Okay, here's the bottom part. Again, first thing you would do is you would distribute the -8. That's where this came from. Then you just solve a two-step equation. If you're adding 16 minus 16, and again, if you're multiplying by 16, divide by 16. Okay, again, distribute. You would solve it. For number 9, again, you would combine like terms first. You get 8x, and then you get -7. Again, I'm sorry for the handwriting. It's not easy to write on a laptop. You then do a two-step equation. Add the 7. You get 20. If you're multiplying by 8, divide by 8. Okay? And then number 10, you had two different options. You can either multiply by the reciprocal on both sides, and that would get your answer like that. Or, if you prefer, you could just divide both sides by 5/6 on both sides. And there it is. Okay, either one gets you the right answer. So again, you can pause the video if you want to check your answers. Okay, oopsie, sorry about that. So there are the properties. Okay, remember changing order. Oh my goodness, my handwriting's bad. So changing order, 8 plus 4 equals 4 plus 8. That would be commutative. Identity, it's a 2. It stays a 2. Its identity did not change. It's a 9. It stays a 9. Its identity did not change. Only thing that changed for this one was the parentheses. So again, that's why it's the associative property. When they cancel each other out, that's the inverse. And this one's obviously distributive since we've been working with it a lot lately. Okay, the bottom ones. Which one is not an integer? So what would you not find on a number line? If you square root 25, you get 5. You would find that on a number line. 8, you would find on a number line. -9, you would find on a number line. But -4.5, you would not find on your standard number line. Which of the following is irrational? When you square root 400 on your calculator, you get 20. That's beautiful. When you square root 196, you get 14. That is also beautiful. When you square root 49, you get 7. That's also beautiful. And when you square root 20, and yes, I do have the calculator on my laptop. How awesome is that? That is disgusting, which is why it's irrational. So there it is. Is this the right one? No, it is not. Why is this up here? Go away. Kim? Kim? Oh my goodness. Of course, this thing won't move. Go away. All right, let's try that again. There we go. Okay, let's get this out of the way. You can see this is obviously a work in progress. Which numbers are rational? Again, fractions are rational. Terminating numbers that end are rational. Repeat is rational. When you square root this, it is ugly. So irrational. Yes, my handwriting is beautiful. I know. Which number is an integer, but not a whole number? So let's decide if any of them are not an integer. 1/2, you would not find on your standard number line. So it's not an integer. It has to be an integer. Now, which one's not a whole number? Well, whole numbers start at 0. So it's got to be the negative answer. Okay, so today's lesson. It's variables on both sides. Sometimes kids have trouble with this one. So we'll see how it works. Okay, so the first step you always do is distribute if you can. Okay, if you can distribute, or even if you can't, the next step is combining like terms. So that's stuff we've done before. We've been talking about the DC, just like the capital of the United States is DC. Well, again, the order is distribute, then combine. Now, here comes the newest step today. Since there will be variables on both sides, you can't have them on both sides. So you got to move the variables to one side. That's what you have to do first, or else I don't know how you're solving for two different like letter ends. And then we always add, subtract first, and then we multiply, divide, which is usually division at the end. So I did not come up with this trick. So if you like it, maybe I'll lie and I'll say I did come up with the trick. If you don't like it, it definitely wasn't me. The way some people memorize the steps is it's don't call me after midnight. That's the way to remember DCMAM. Don't call me after midnight. That also applies to emails. Please don't email me after midnight. I have better things to do, like sleep. So that's one way to remember it. Again, if you don't like it or you can't even remember it, again, you kind of just know when you're doing the problems. So we're going to start off easy. So the first thing you notice is there's an N on both sides. Now, also I have some interesting editing skills, so if it just sounded like it just skipped, again, I paused the video. Sorry about that. So you can see how there's N's on both sides of the equal sign, and that's no good. So I always like to draw what I call the Great Wall of mathematics. You don't have to. Think of it as training wheels. If you find it helpful, use it. And if you don't find it helpful, well, then don't use it. The reason I like drawing the Great Wall of mathematics is a lot of you think you're the Kool-Aid man, which I've learned over the years that some kids don't actually know who the Kool-Aid man is. And by the Kool-Aid man, you think you're allowed to bust through the Great Wall of mathematics. And a lot of kids will do this. 16n, 20n is 36n. And that is so wrong. And you can't do that. So, again, I feel bad for the kids that don't know who the Kool-Aid man is. So here he is. Enjoy. Oops. I told you I would make this video fun. Yes, it is very creepy if you've never seen the Kool-Aid man before. I love how excited all the kids are, because if that Kool-Aid man was busting through my house, I was going to be like, you better fix that wall before my parents get home. So I know you're like, that was random. Yes, it was, but so am I. So again, please don't be the Kool-Aid man. You can't bust through walls. Just don't. Okay. So then the question is, well, if I can't be the Kool-Aid man and bust through a wall, what do I do? So the trick for today is you subtract, which well, not always subtract, but usually subtract. You always move whichever variable is smaller. So which is smaller, 16n or 20n? And hopefully you all said 16n. So we would minus the 16n on both sides. And again, my handwriting is awful on a laptop, so deal with it. And you get 32 is equal to 4n. So now that all the variables are on one side, this is a very easy question to solve. So these aren't bad as long as you know that one step. It's that, do you know that one step? Which I'll be honest, on a quiz, a lot of kids don't. So if you did get to this part, it's easy now. If you're multiplying by 4, divide by 4, and you get 8 equals n. Or you can write n equals 8. Doesn't matter. Again, I personally always put the variable first. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. Okay? So, not so bad, hopefully. Okay? Now, for number 2, this is why I said we don't always subtract first. If we're subtracting, okay, so first of all, sorry. If there's negative 6n and 4n, here's where you guys start to get in some problems. Which is smaller? So to the untrained eye, you think, oh, 4 is smaller than 6. And you're correct, but that's not a 6. It's a negative 6. Negative 6 is smaller than 4n. So if you're minusing 6n, then the way to undo that is to add 6n on both sides. And when you do that, you get 30 equals 10n. Okay? And then the final step is easy. Divide both sides by 10. and you get n equals 3 or 3 equals n. It does not matter. And again, do not forget one of the best things on your calculator. If you go to your calculator, let's get rid of that ugly irrational number. If you press menu, what class are we in? Algebra. Again, we're going to click number 1. We don't do number 2 until I think packet number 4. So number 1, if you type in the question, and again, it says the letter N. I personally always like making it an X. It does not matter. So we're going to type in 30 minus, instead of N, I'm going to use an X. The equals button is right below the control button, equals 4X. Now, if you click enter, it's not going to work. You have to remember to use a comma, which is right down here next to the O, and then comma, whatever letter you picked. Now, if it's not working, it's usually because you put the comma X outside of the parentheses. Everything has to be inside. And if you click enter, you'll know what the answer should have been, which is 3. And oh my goodness, that's what I got. Cool. Okay, number 3. Let's try to pick up the pace a little bit. 13n plus 2n is 15n. So if you can combine like terms, do that first. Oh no, I forgot to draw the Great Wall of Mathematics. Silly Mr. Morrow. So 15n plus 18. If you don't use it, reuse it. Again, if you don't use it, reuse it. So all I did was combine like terms. Now that there's variables on both sides, you ask yourself, how do you know which one to move? And the answer is always pick the smaller one. So we're going to subtract 15n on both sides. And you get 18 equals 3n. Okay, final step is divide both sides by 3. And you get n equals 6 or 6 equals n. Again, it does not matter. So hopefully you're getting the hang of this. I know I am, but that's just me. Okay, first step, draw the Great Wall of Mathematics. Okay, so kids ask me, should I start with the numbers without the variables, which are called constants, or should I start with the numbers that do have the variables, which are called coefficients? Always start with the variables. So which is smaller, 13p or 8p? The answer is 8p. So let's minus the 8p to this side. How wonderful. And we get 1 plus 5p is equal to 11. So again, all I did was subtract the 8p, and for the 1 and the 11, since I didn't use it, I reused it. Now that we got the p's all to one side, let's get the numbers to the other. So if you're adding 1, let's subtract the 1. So now you get 5p, I hate my handwriting, equals 10. And you divide both sides by 5. And you get p equals 2. And again, you could always check it on the calculator. For time purposes, I'm going to skip that. So hopefully you're understanding this. That would make me so happy if you were. Okay, let's start picking and choosing which ones we want to do, because I don't want to do all of them. Let's go to number 6, since it has a star, which means maybe it's harder. Ooh, it is harder. I like it. Start with the Great Wall of Mathematics. Okay, you look on the left side. You say there's an n and an 8. Is there anything you can do? And the answer is no. So you look on the right. Remember the expression, don't call me after midnight. The D being distributing. So the question is, what are we going to distribute? So some kids will say the 2n, but is the 2n touching the parentheses? And the answer is no, it's not. So what is touching the parentheses is that negative. Some people call it a -1. I just call it a negative. So we're going to distribute that negative. So a negative times 25 is -25. And then here we go. A negative times a negative is a positive 10n. I know that looks like a 6. Deal with it. Okay, if you don't use it, let's reuse it. So let's reuse the 2n. Let's reuse the 2 plus 8. Before you start moving variables to the other side, let's see if there's anything else we can do. So I just did, don't call me after midnight. I just did distributing. Let's see if we can combine like terms. Now, the 2n can combine with the 10n. I do not want you to think you can combine with the n. You are not the Kool-Aid man. Okay? I don't care how much red you wear. You are not the Kool-Aid man. Do not bust through that wall. So 2n plus 10n is 12n. Okay? If you don't use it, reuse it. So we're going to reuse the 25, and we're going to reuse the n plus 8. Now that there's nothing else I can do on the left, there's nothing else I can do on the right, now it's time to start moving the n's to one side. Start with the n's. Which is smaller, 1n or 12n's? The answer is 1n. So if you're adding n, let's subtract n to this side. When you do that, goodbye n, good. 8 equals, if I have 12 nuggets and I eat a nugget, now I only have 11 nuggets. And then again, I have not touched the minus 25, so let's reuse it. Now that we got the variables all on one side, let's get the numbers to the other side. So let's move the whole goal is to get everything away from the n now. The n doesn't like friends, so we try to get everything away from him. So he doesn't like the minus 25. So let's move him to the other side. Let's continue my great wall of mathematics. So add 25. We get 33 is equal to 11n. And then almost always, the final step is divide by 11. No, of course, Mr. Morrow pressed the erase button as he was writing. Silly Mr. Morrow. And your answer is 3 equals n or n equals 3. Either one is okie dokie. Okay. Let's see how many more I want to do. I feel like we're getting the hang of this, or at least I hope we are. Ooh, there's a Regents version of it. How fun. What do I want to do? I don't know what I want to do. Let's do 7. I know you're like, wow, you really did skip around. No, not really. So first thing you should do is combine like terms. Negative 3n plus 9n is 6n. Come on, you can write. There you go. Equals 22 minus 5n. Okay, now that there's nothing else I can do on the left, nothing else I can do on the right, now we start moving the n's around. Who is smaller, 6n or negative 5n? And the answer is negative 5n. So we're going to add the 5n to this side. Okay. And when we do that, we get 11n equals 22. Okay. And then again, we divide by 11, and we get n equals 2. Hooray. Okay, we're going to skip 8. What do I want to do? Let's do 11. 11 looks like fun. Number 11. Here we go. Draw the great wall of mathematics. First step is D, distribute if you can. 9 times n, 9m. 9 times negative 3, negative 27. If you don't use it, reuse it. So we're going to reuse the 3m. We're going to reuse the 7m. We're going to reuse the 43. Okay? Now comes the C. Combine like terms if you can. 9m plus 3m is 12m. Again, do not bust through that wall. If you don't use it, let's reuse it. So we're going to reuse the minus 27. We're going to reuse the right side also. Okay, now that there's nothing else I can do on the left, nothing else I can do on the right, it's time to start moving some m's around. Who do I move first? The 12m or the right m? I love how I just messed that up. Good job, Mara. So 12m or 7m? Who's smaller? The 7m. So we're going to minus 7m on both sides. Okay? When you do that, you get 5m. And again, if you don't use it, let's reuse it. And let's reuse the 43. Now that we got the m's on one side, let's start moving everything to the other side. Let's add the 27. We get 5m is equal to 70. Divide by 5. and you get m equals 14. Now that's a tough question, but you always have a calculator. You can press menu, algebra, type it in, comma, whatever letter you picked, and your problem is solved. So again, please use the calculator. It's very helpful. All right, let's do 12, and then I'll show you the regions question, what I would do for it, and then we'll call it a day. What do you say? So draw the Great Wall of Mathematics. We get 8w, first distribute, and distribute that. Now the other side, you can distribute this side. You get negative 10w. You get a negative times a negative is a positive 30. Okay, and again, if you don't use it, let's reuse the 4. Okay, before you start moving m's around, w's around, let's combine like terms if we can. On the left side, there's nothing we can do, so let's rewrite that. 8w minus 2. On the right side, the negative 10w had no friends, so let's rewrite that. I'm sorry if that it looks like it says Jow. Let's combine like terms. 30 plus 4 is 34. Okay, now that there's nothing else I can do on both sides, now it's time to move the w's around. Which side is smaller, the 8w or the negative 10w? So the answer is negative 10. It's not a 10, it's a negative 10. So we're going to add the 10w to this side. When you do that, you get 18w minus 2, because that hasn't moved, equals 34. We're going to now add the 2 now to this side. You get 18w is equal to 36. Divide both sides by 18. And you get w equals 2. Okie dokie. Okay. Final question. You could do this for real. You could. I'm sure a lot of you are smart enough to do it. But it's the day of the regions. Do you really want to take a chance of getting it wrong? And it's multiple choice. Does that mean you have to show work? The answer is no. So again, I would get in the habit of practicing on your calculator. Let's do it. So, menu. We're in algebra. Number 1. Here we go. 3 times x minus 8. 3 times x minus 8. Close the parentheses. I think I messed it up. Good job, Morrow. I forgot the x. Silly me. Okay, there we go. I got the x. Also, my daughter surprised me. Whoops, not the Kool-Aid man. Silly Morrow. So if you heard a little pause in the video, it's because my daughter started running upstairs. Okay, what else we got? We got plus 4x equals, I know I have to keep going back and forth. The benefits, the lack of benefits of being on a laptop. 8x plus 4. Okay, 8x plus 4. Just don't forget the comma, whatever letter you picked. And the answer is negative 28. How easy is that? We are going to dominate this regions. So I hope you like this edition of Morrow Teaches Online. Again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'll be honest, I really don't care if you do. I'm not making any money off of this. There is no Morrow merch. I'm sorry. So again, thanks for subscribing to my channel if you're one of like the 5 people. So good job. Good luck with the homework. Bye.